There we go. The application of Mr. Albert Roberts, 4345 Clinton Road, New Hartford, New York. Mr. Roberts is seeking a use variance for a veterinary clinic at 4345 Clinton Road. Zoning in this area is RB4 Neighborhood Business, and a veterinary clinic is not a permitted use in the zone, therefore necessitating the use variance request.
Welcome.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
This is Dr. Blackmore. He is actually my prospective tenant for the property. Currently, it's a single-family home with a, I want to call it a pole barn next door, an outbuilding. I don't know if you've got pictures of the existing buildings on the property, if you want to pass those around. We basically re-sided the house, all the windows. We're asking to put a small parking lot in the front of the building for six cars, which would basically would be enough for his parking. It's a veterinarian clinic for cats only. No dogs, no boarding, no kennels. You know, common hours. Matter of fact, he's probably going to be open 2 days a week to begin with. No boarding, no exterior changes to the building other than parking. You know, it's really pretty cut and dry. I mean, it's a real low impact usage. I would believe everything up and down the street on my side of the road, if you're familiar with that area. Tomasetti's next door. He has his nursery and he lives there. And then you have Charlie Boy's. You have a house. There's one house on my side of the road. One resident other than Tom's, business and home. Then it's, you know, you have Charlie Boy's. You have a dog groomer. You have a vacant building that I believe was sold. Used to be the pizza parlor, which is.
It's got a sold sign in front of it, yeah.
Which is, I'm sorry?
Well, it's got a sold sign in front of it.
Right, I believe they sold it. That's a recent photo. So it goes with the neighborhood businesses there. Matter of fact, it's less of an impact than anything that's on the street currently, other than probably Tom's nursery. I think it's basically the same idea as a single-family home with somebody living there with 3 or 4 cats. You know, normal hours, 8 to 3, 8 to 4, 2 days a week to begin with. You know, the doctor can speak, but I really feel as though it's a good fit.
Are you planning on expanding the house or changing the house?
Nothing's changed. Nothing's going to change now, other than a handicap ramp
Okay.
going into this small addition that's currently on the house now.
And of course, the incorporation of 6 parking.
Right. And currently, the whole front of the property, the whole 100 and something feet, is all blacktop. There's no curb cuts needed. It's basically everything there is all existing blacktop. You know, we need to remove a tree, probably relocate it, cut out some lawn, do some landscaping. That's pretty much it. I mean, I've had the house for years. We struggled to put tenants in the house as a home because it always had the asphalt plant next to it. Nobody wanted to live next to an asphalt plant. The asphalt plant is now gone. It's just I feel it's a better fit and less traffic than if somebody lived there. Got anything to add, Doc?
No, that was a good summary. The hours of operation are likely 8 to 4, 8 to 5, routine, as a veterinary office might be.
8 to 4 or 8 to 5?
Yeah.
But weekends, how about weekends?
Semi-retired, I don't want to be a...
How about weekends?
Possibly Saturday mornings, but that hasn't been determined yet. We're just, it's a new
No
business.
Sunday.
No Sundays. No, we're not. And no emergencies either at this location.
Couple days a week?
It will likely be open at least 4 days a week. That's the possible incorporation of a Saturday mornings. Is a time when, in the veterinary business, Saturday mornings are when people can get there. And that's usually an important set of hours.
Even if he was open 7 days a week, it wouldn't be really the impact that a convenience store would have. It's Site plan review.
Questions for the
Yeah.
applicant?
So I'm just trying to, even if you were open at night, it wouldn't be, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be much of an issue.
Right.
Fred, anything else? All right.
This is what it is.
So this is what could be, yeah, this is the, RB4.
I mean, there's other usage that would be higher impact usage that we could put in the building. We feel it's a good fit. I've had people approach me about putting a restaurant in there and those type of things, and I'm not inclined to being a landlord to a restaurant or anything like that. And I know that's not a permitted use, so I'd have to go to a planning board. But I just feel this is a rather low, and I mean, I don't think it's any more traffic than a normal person living there.
Tim?
So it's just strictly cats, no dogs,
That's the plan, it's just cats, exactly.
and no
I-
boarding of dogs, so they're barking for the one or
No.
neighbors crossing?
Years ago, I started the Parasol Cat Hospital, and we just did cats, we stuck with that.
No, no exterior boarding, no dogs.
What about a lion? It's a few lions. If somebody brings one in, they'll be all right.
We have to pay for it, yes. We used to sell local
It is a
cats.
cat.
and,
Yeah, this is
yeah,
veterinary.
right on it.
Each site should bring something else in there. Okay.
You've operated Paris Hill for quite a while now, right?
I started it, I sold it about 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
I'm disabled, so I'm trying to slow up, and I will work part-time and enjoy doing veterinary medicine. I've done it for 35 years. I'll do it for another.
35 years.
You never know these days. Yeah.
I'm just waiting for somebody to do your thing, and then I'm gonna make sure you're the director up.
Okay. So you don't have any other questions?
Nope.
Karen?
No questions.
No questions. And Joe, this RB4, is this is, the sheet that we have here is some of the things that could be in there, potentially, subject to planning board.
Yeah, but you should know that the zone that's proposed for that area will allow veterinary offices without a kennel in the future.
Oh, well,
So it's the same thing we're
If it's
gonna put in,
approved by the
what we're gonna
council.
put it in.
But that's what's proposed.
but currently these, and maybe for the record, I should read these so everybody knows, these are some of the things subject to a planning board, site plan review. These are some of the things that could go in there, as Al was saying. Public building use, church, park, school, daycare center, library, restaurant under 2,500 square feet, office under 2,500 square feet, retail store under 2,500 square feet, bank under 2,500 square feet, automobile service station, and convenience store. So those are some of the things that could be, and then, sounds like this would be a little bit lesser of a use than some of these things. Okay, we'll open this up. Is there somebody in the audience that wishes to speak on behalf of this particular application? Yes, sir.
Yes, I live next door. I'm Thomas Eddy. I got right next door there, the house. And I just had a few questions. It sounds pretty good and everything, but I know you're applying for, he's applying for 43 and 45 Clinton Road. One is a house, one is a pole barn. Are they both going to be used as the veterinary clinic, or?
No, just the house, no. Currently, just the house. I mean, he has no intentions. The pole barn's 2,000 square feet. I can't imagine, ever, no, it's strictly the
Just the
house
house.
at this point.
What's the address of just the house?
43?
43.
Why are you applying for the other one also?
It may have been a glitch in the application, but it's really one property, correct? So it's always been known as 4345. It's one tax map number, so, no, I don't have currently, and I don't believe down the road it would, I mean,
It's detached and
it's detached, it's an outbuilding, it's almost like having a garage next door to your business. I mean, I have no plans on, he has no plans on moving in, I have no plans on renting it to him.
Okay.
And Also, what is the, I don't really know the definition, but I think you kind of, Joe, mentioned that it can't be a dog kennel, right?
Kennels,
No kennels are allowed?
he's not proposing a kennel.
But I was just, since I am 40 feet away, I was at first when it said veterinary clinic in the notice there, I thought that, maybe barking dogs all night and stuff like that.
Understandable. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be by it either.
Is there anything like that would stop in if he gets the variance down the road, somebody else leases it later on, that they could put a dog clinic in that building that's right next to the
Come
house?
before this board again.
Well, I would have to do a complete new variance.
Yeah, no application.
Is it possible just to do the variance on the house, or you need to do it on both?
No, I don't think I'm asking for it on the
They're
outbuilding.
gonna run with the
Not
land.
gonna be on the outdoor.
I mean,
Well, we can put
you
a-
could state in there that it's the house only. I don't, yeah, I mean, no, that's fine, I don't,
Okay, let's see. I guess it wouldn't probably matter that much, but is there gonna be any cremation of cats and stuff there too, or?
No?
No? Okay, and what's gonna be in the back? Anything different? Everything's the same pretty
no,
much?
we're just gonna dress it up, I'm gonna put a berm around like I talked to you and do some, do a buffer between you and I and in the rear and, yeah, I mean, I think when you drive by, other than a sign, which I have to get with Joe on, I don't think it's really gonna look a little different, other than there's gonna be activity, I'm gonna have a tenant and things can be, it's been a struggle because the way that area is zoned. And I understand they're going to rezone it, so if they rezone it, it's a usage, it's a allowed use. So I'm really not, I think it's, it's no more than putting a dentist office in there. About as quiet as you can get.
I don't know, sometimes those drills on those dentists are awful loud.
Okay, that's all right.
Is there anybody else that wishes to speak on behalf of this particular application? Yes, sir.
Yes, I live at 42 Clinton Road, that's across the street and then just about...
Oh, for the
50
record,
feet
your
or
name,
so.
please.
Ralph Savage, S-A-V as in Victor, A-G-E. And, I see that the application is for a veterinary clinic, whereas there is nothing defined in the code as a veterinary clinic, and in common sense, what's the difference between a veterinary clinic and a veterinary hospital? I really don't know, except for the fact that veterinary hospital is defined in your code. And the way it's defined, it does say a place where animals are given medical care and the boarding of animals is limited short-term care incidental to hospital use. A veterinary hospital may include a kennel or a facility to cremate animals. So, in spite of the good intentions to not cremate animals, the definition of your code allows for the cremation of animals. And that has us quite upset because of the health aspects of smoke and the odors that could be possible if the variance is not restricted to exclude the cremation of animals. The second thing is I've never heard of a clinic just for cats. Veterinary clinics that I'm used to are for all types of animals, including reptiles and whatever, as your common experiences prove true. The other aspect is that veterinary hospitals are allowed in the in the zoning code for retail business districts, as your code presently is in existence. And now you mentioned proposed codes that could be passed as a voted on code, or it could not be passed as a voted on code, because I'm sure we will be here to express our concerns that veterinary hospitals and maybe some of those other uses are not in a category of districts that would be applicable across the street from our residential neighborhood. And since the code as it is expressed now defines veterinary hospitals in retail business districts only, in District 1 and in District 2, our neighborhood is not a retail business district. And we feel that it would create an undesirable change in the character of our neighborhood, which is residential across the street. There are probably hundreds of homes across the street, and as well as in the Merritt Place neighborhood. In the definition, by the way, of what is a neighborhood business, if you look in your code, it is a business that provides services to the local neighbors. Well, the veterinary hospital or clinic is going to go well beyond the neighborhood. It's going to draw in customers from all places. So it doesn't even fit within the neighborhood business definition. When you look upon the factors that you have to consider, a big factor is, does it cause significant adverse impact on the property owners? And of course, that's us. We feel that if the property were used as a crematorium in some way, the discharge of smoke, odors, germs, and particulates is particular concern to us. And to have a retail business right across the street will impact our property values, because if we want to sell our property, some of us are getting older, our property values will go down. Public safety hazard, this property is right after you get past the turn in the already busy Route 12B. So if more people are driving in and out of that driveway, you're going to have cars back up, and already on 12B, cars go well in excess of the speed limit, so there's a real possibility that people could be involved in an accident, which is of concern to all of us. The bottom, one of the final points, I mentioned property values, but as all of us know, the purchase of a home is probably our most important asset and our largest asset. So if there's anything that's going to affect or decrease the value of our home, that's of great concern to us. And if our neighborhood has a business that should be in a retail business district, the way your code presently is written, then that definitely affects our property values. So that sums up my comments. Thank you very much. I hope you do the right thing.
Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on behalf of this particular application? Yes, sir.
My name is Ken Kostelek. I've been in that neighborhood now, right across the street from Mr. Roberts at 44 Clinton Road. And I represent all of these neighbors, including Mr. Savage in the immediate area. We're all senior citizens, 90% of us, and he's exactly right when he says these people, including me, maybe will want to go to Florida, and then our property values, will skid. And I certainly believe that. But moreover, he's touched on everything. But I have 47 signatures of the surrounding neighborhood, and they're dead against any type of facility enumerated by Mr. Savage. And I had this petition that I'd like to submit, but I'd just like to reiterate what a point that Mr. Savage made, and it says here, the New Hartford Zoning Board defines a veterinary hospital as a, quote, a place where animals are given medical care and the boarding of animals is limited to short-term care incidental to hospital use. A veterinary hospital may include a kennel or a facility to cremate animals, unquote. Chapter of your zoning rules, 118, Article 2, Section 11, 8-5. Now, we, the people of our neighborhood, do not want a business in our neighborhood that will be allowed to cremate animals, and no residential neighborhood should be exposed to health risks, smoke odors, and harmful particulate discharges, which Mr. Savage mentioned, and I'm mentioning now specifically in behalf of all of these residents, and incidentally, I could have gotten 100 more or 200 more, but I have I have my time limits too. But I'd like to submit these this petition against this to the board. Who may I deliver it to? Okay. And that's about all I have to say. And, you know, that's it.
Okay, thank you for the comments. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on behalf of this particular application? Okay, we'll close.
Randy, can I just add something to it?
Sure.
I think we made it clear that Dr. Blackmore isn't cremating animals. We're not looking for variance to board animals or cremate animals. And if you want to write that in the variance, he's not looking to cremate cats, not looking to board dogs. We specified that we're not going to cremate. I mean, and you can put it in the variance. So we're not boarding dogs. We're not cremating cats, dogs, or reptiles, or anything. He's strictly a cat veterinarian. It's not uncommon to have a cat veterinarian clinic. There's a lot of them, actually. It's not an uncommon thing today. He's not interested in working on dogs. He's not going to open a kennel. He's not going to cremate.
And he's not going to board.
And he's not going to board. And it can be in the variance. That's what's going to happen there.
Okay.
And he's not going to board cats either.
No.
No. Yes, sir.
My name's Richard Matthews. I live at 28 Clinton Road. We're at the corner of Edna. So we're kind of kitty corner down the road. I think one of the reasons that we're a little bit more sensitive to it because there's been some talk about establishing a pet cemetery in the area across from us, kind of kitty cornered. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why some of the neighbors are probably more sensitive to that. So, Dr. Blackmore sounds like a professional, which is good. So, but at the same time, I think that the proximity to that possible use of that land, that's why I think that some of the neighbors, were a little bit more sensitive to that.
If they want to open a cemetery there, you wouldn't be sitting here tonight, it would happen.
Right, it is, yes.
It already had that.
Right, exactly. So, but just the combination of the two businesses, that's why I think that, we had a little bit more concern in that area.
Well, I think that's, the board is sensitive to those things and listening to some of the comments from some of the neighbors here. We've run into these types of situations before, and sometimes when you're able to control something, you end up being much better off than when you're not able to control something.
Exactly.
In all of the restrictions that we've talked about, that may reduce the odors and the smoke from the crematorium and that type of thing, but it doesn't reduce the change in the character of the neighborhood. And that is a big point, that we don't want our neighborhood changed. It has an adverse impact, which all of you, of course, are familiar with Wayne. And you just can't get away from the adverse impact on our neighborhood.
Understand, thanks for your comments.
I'd just like to state that that is commercial property there, and sooner or later, something's gonna go in there. And myself living next door, I don't see a problem with if there's a variance as far as cremation, as far as the restriction on cremation and boarding dogs. It could be better than.
You will be the most affected because you're right next to it.
Right.
I'd rather be there than.
Well, across the street, but.
You've got an accepted use there as an automobile service station.
Right.
Or a convenience store.
That's what I'm saying.
What would you prefer?
Exactly.
You wouldn't be here if somebody wanted to put an automobile service station.
Eventually, it's going to change the character of the area when something goes in there, and I think a veterinarian hospital would be the least effective impact of negative impact on the area.
Well, because the outside is in.
Yeah, and that's
It's
again,
gonna look like a home.
I can understand his point, but the adverse effect of the neighborhood, I'm not changing it. It still looks like a colonial home with a veterinarian hospital, which most of them do. I'm not looking to put up a brick and mortar building. I'm not putting a strip plaza up there. it's pretty much staying the way it is. It's no, like I say, it's no more adverse effect if somebody moved in as a home and had 3 or 4 cats, which is common.
The problem that we're concerned with is this could be the first step in getting the next variance, which could very well make the property more of a retail area, and perhaps adding a crematorium in the future, since that cemetery is in such close proximity. So we're concerned with changing the looks of the neighborhood primarily, but further long-term, it could drastically change it, and you'd be asked to make that decision later on. So while you're in the position of looking at the initial adverse impact that will be in the area, we hope that you address this in the bud. And, you know, this is a situation that all businesses that are so close to residential neighborhoods would have to face, and you're familiar with that because you handle that quite often. But the concern is you can't issue a variance when you're so close to a neighborhood and so many, there are 100 homes across the street. You know, you just can't change you can't deny the adverse impact that it would have on those homes. And the footprint of the commercial property that Mr. Roberts has is so small, you know, for a 7-Eleven or anything like that, the chances are very slim. It has the ideal situation of someone living in the home and having a business across the street or right next door in 45 Clinton Road. That is the way that property was set up, and that's the way it was used in the past by Mr. Roberts' predecessor, who unfortunately passed away. But that's the use for that property. It's not a total retail business use, which is going to change the neighborhood character completely. So I just hope you take that into account. But thank you very much.
And I live directly across the street, in direct eyeball view of Mr. Roberts' property. Mr. Assetti has a lovely landscape business. His property is next to Mr. Roberts' property. It's fenced, has a nice fence, and you wouldn't see anything anyway next door because of his obstructions and so forth. Same way on the opposite end of his place where this individual here lives, quite a ways away from Mr. Assetti's residence. I live directly in front of eyeball to eyeball Mr. Roberts' property, and to his credit, he did side the house. It looked like a piece of junk before, now it looks like a residence, which it should be a residence or apartment dwelling. Perfect situation for that. However, I've had trouble in the past with this board, with Mr. Roberts, and all of the garbage he poses in the back, and never did clean up his act despite all of my protests before this body years ago. I haven't continued with that because I've given up on it. He's improved somewhat, but before he parked all of his equipment there, it was ramshackle. And talk about berms, you know what a berm is? You've got a berm there now. It's a pile 20 feet high of dirt. Is that what he's referring to, a berm for the good doctor here? But it was terrible, and it still is, but I'm not before the board today. But I'm just saying, this is what the situation is, and this is what impacts upon the neighborhood and what Mr. Savage has been enumerating time and time again. Our property values are going to go down. I'm not a legal eagle, but he is. And he's described this to you, and I hope you'll do the right thing. For this fella here and the 47 who signed that petition, and incidentally, he's one of the signers, and the Matthews are, and 40 some odd others are, that represent that neighborhood and are dead against anything. I don't care if it's a cat hospital. We don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on behalf of this? Yes.
My name is Lydia Savage, 42 Clinton Road. My concern is the word clinic. Clinic, what does clinic mean? Okay, and how broadly can we define that term clinic? Since they haven't applied for, they haven't used a terminology that is in the regulations, veterinary hospital, are they perhaps going around and using the term clinic to avoid certain uses? I don't know. I'm just asking the question
No, I
because
think
the
that-
term clinic
I
is
think-
not defined
I
anywhere.
think the question was asked previously and was actually answered by the applicant, that there's not going to, and which is stated in the concerns here. The place where animals are given medical care and the boarding of animals, I think they addressed that. That's a concern, boarding. So there will be no boarding. Veterinary hospital may include a kennel or a facility to cremate animals. Underlined. He said there will be no cremation. So that while it appears, I know Mr. Savage mentioned some other things, but while it appears that those are the two items that are most concerning to the residents, they've said that those two things will not occur on their property, and that can be restricted.
But any use of that word clinic should, in the future, be defined clearly. Clinic means this, and only this, and should not be expanded upon in any other usage.
No, we'll take the, appreciate the comments.
And also the traffic on that road is it's a one lane going each way between Utica and Clinton. And it's a highly trafficked road. And anything that adds more traffic to that road would be a detriment to the neighborhood. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that wishes to speak on behalf of this particular application?
Well, I might add that a convenience store, well, might add more traffic to there, but a cat clinic where the owners drop off 3 or 4 cats in the morning for surgeries, have a few office appointments in the afternoons, that the traffic, well, I don't need to go on, you know that it'd be very, very minimal. There's really no addition to the number of cars that go by there, because we know that road's busy. This won't add to that.
The property, if I put a 2-family home there, which is allowable, you'd have more traffic from 2 families than you would from what Dr. Blackmore's gonna draw for traffic. I mean, you know, if you had 2 families in there, you're probably gonna talk 4 or 5 cars. It's probably more traffic than. I guess the other side of the coin is that whole side of the road, other than the gentleman sitting here, and I don't know his name. Walt. Everything is commercial. It's Charlie Boys, which creates, I don't know how many cars. I'm glad he does well. Everybody, you know, you want the businesses to do well up and down that corridor. But from my building to the other building that's sold, there's 1 home, other than Thomas Etty's nursery, which he lives there and he works out of there, and he keeps a nice place. And by the way, the fence that's along Etty's is mine, it's not Tom's. So, but I would think the neighbors would embrace this usage. I really do. I'm sorry to hear that they're against it, or at least some of them are, because I think it's a great usage. I guess that's about it.
It's understandable that the neighbors interpreting hospital as would or could be a crematorium there. I would personally also be against that being within my neighborhood because of smokers. So, you know, there will not be dogs boarded. There's still going to be no dogs there, and we've already cleared up. There's no intention ever to be a crematorium, which require substantial zoning variances anyhow. That's difficult to do.
Okay, thanks for the comments. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on behalf of this particular application? Okay. We'll close. I did get, we got a, what's that, you want to ask somebody?
Yeah, if I'd like to. Would it make any difference?
Who are we asking?
I'd like to ask the neighbors.
Okay.
Would it make any difference if, now that you've heard what they propose to do there and the level of activity right from the doctor, would that make any difference in what your petition said as far as the two main items that you did have on there regarding the crematorium?
Well, the thing is, Ralph addressed the thing about property values. Everyone is concerned about property values. We don't address it in the petition, but if we did, I'm sure they would be concerned about it and would have signed it. However, if Mr. Roberts cleaned up his act, I mean, on his pole barn and in the back, and made it, and Mr. So-and-so, the good doctor, had everything beautifully landscaped, I mean, front, sides, and Mr. Roberts's territory in the back, put a lawn in, keep that ugly berm out of there, and all of his trash that he puts up there. I had problems with him, and I've prevailed with this board, and I've had to come back to this board a number of times, and I've given up on that. He's still not in compliance with this board. Now, if Mr. Roberts would do what I just said, landscape it back, and who would be the right person to do it? Mr. Rossetti, that's right up his alley. If he cleaned up his act and got everything to look perfect, I wouldn't have any objections at all, so long as down the road, a regular clinic, full-pledged, like Waterville Vet, where they have the crematorium out in the back, that's in the country, I believe. But anyways, I would be happy for that, and the neighbors, I think, if he cleans up his act 100%, and the good doctor comes in with his cat clinic, and there's no blacktop to contradict what he said. It's all dirt back there. There's no black. The only blacktop is what was being formerly made by Central Asphalt, and they're gone. And I believe Mr. Roberts took out all of those kettles and everything, so he can do the same on his property. Spiff it up really nice. Flowers, lawn. Blacktop for the cars. Is there going to be a blacktop for the cars to go in there? Is he going to pay to the expense of blacktopping a driveway? Yes or no? He'll probably put crushed stone in there. But if he cleans up his act, I mean the whole thing, I think the neighborhood would be happy. And I can speak for the neighborhood, I think, and those 47 people, I could have gotten 400 if I had enough time, but I just did not have enough time. If he cleans up his act and makes it look presentable, I don't think the neighborhood, and it enhances the neighborhood, and I'm sure the good doctor is going to do what he said. And if down the road we get stabbed in the back, then what happens? We have to come back to the board and you get another variance. But I think I've said enough.
Does that answer your question, Mayor?
Yeah, I think it does.
I would like to answer your question also, because I think that with the best of intentions, the board can try to put restrictions in this variance. But Mr. Roberts has unfortunately, for probably the last 10 years, shown disrespect to any restrictions that the board has put on his property, as Mr. Kostelecki mentions. So this history of violating the board's restrictions is something that concerns us, because the best of intentions here, putting this restriction or that restriction, or a restriction on cremation, as we go along, those restrictions could very likely, as in the past, be ignored. And before you know it, we're smelling the sweet smells of cremation or whatever. And the board, do they want to have a history of being a policeman to go over there and look at what really is going on? No. I suggest that the board has better things to do than that. And for that other reason of the history of violating the restrictions, the board has to consider that, as well as I mentioned, the significant adverse impact on the neighborhood. And Mr. Kostelecki just went out in an afternoon for 2 hours. 4 hours. Yeah, and got those signatures.
And 4 or 5 hours Friday and Saturday, and it was just the notice and not the petition, so I had to backtrack, and right. So you'd have these petitions. because I couldn't rely on all of these people being here, promising to be here, except Mr. and Mrs. Matthews that I know of, and Walter here.
I
But
think it's a nice way to do it.
But there probably would be 100 neighbors if Mr. Kostelecki had more time. So with the with the show of people in the neighborhood, all taxpayers, against having their neighborhood changed and against the adverse impact that it would have on them, I don't think the board has any other response but to reject the application. Thank you.
Just to Mr. Roberts, if it was granted, are you going to clean up the back like was discussed?
Yeah, we
Are you
plan
going to blacktop?
yeah, we're gonna blacktop the front where the cars are parking. I'm not gonna put stone down. There's blacktop in the, I never said there was blacktop in the rear. It's a stone parking lot in the rear. We have material back there to build a berm. I've already talked to Tom about building a berm and planting spruce or pine or whatever, so he has a buffer between myself and him.
What about the landscaping?
And we're gonna landscape the front of the building, and I'll put a fence between the pole barn and the house. I mean, you see pictures of the house and the pole barn. They've all been re-sided. There's new windows, there's, the property, we put a lot of money into it. I've got a tenant that wants to move in there. I don't plan on putting stone driveway in there and plowing stone into the, I need to get it approved so I can, before the plants close, I can pave the front. I don't know what adverse effects there is on the neighborhood. I mean, I think maybe I ought to go for a variant, or for the planning board and put a convenience store in, because the property is plenty big enough for a convenience store. As a matter of fact, I've had interest in it.
I'd love that. I'd love that.
I mean,
But
maybe that,
you made the same, not to interrupt, you made the same proposal.
excuse me, I'm talking.
Really?
He's got the floor.
Maybe that's what they would rather have. Maybe I could go to Jimmy Clifford and see if Jimmy's interested in putting a convenience store in there, or Hess, or Stewart's, because I probably could get that pushed through, and the property's more than big enough. So I thought this was a great fit, and I thought the neighbors would be, you know, in favor of it.
But they're not.
They're not.
They're not.
We're not, and regarding the parking lot, it's way too narrow and too close to the road, even as my house is, to maneuver in there. And I don't know if he has the right of way to go on the asphalt property, where he can have a bigger and more costly and a safer exit and egress from his property, from the rear of his pole barn and the surrounding backyard.
But he can't.
But he can't, I don't think he can get access back here, because that land is owned by Central Asphalt, if anyone wants to correct me otherwise. The former owners of Central Asphalt Company. You can't have a parking lot up front, because there's just not enough room. And,
Every business on the street has a parking lot in the front.
yeah, but Charlie Boys has a big area, and it's lovely, and it's got tables outside, awning, and there's more than enough parking lot and tables for, on the side of the property for people to eat if it's raining. No problem with parking. This little rinky-dink thing in front of his house is rinky-dink. Now, if he can have that parking lot and a larger asphalt, which would be more costly to Mr. Roberts, and I don't think he wants to do that.
Why don't you buy it and put in something that you
Well, the thing is,
He's not asking for
Mr.
the
Roberts
variance.
has threatened,
Okay.
Mr. Roberts has threatened the store.
We're gonna address people, address the board, not each other,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
Thank you.
well, Mr. Roberts has threatened, I don't think it was, I didn't take it as a threat, but when he was causing a lot of problems to the neighborhood, especially with me and the eyesore I had to put up with for years, he threatened the board here, or he said he made the same proposal to put in a store. Put in a store, and he never followed through with
Let's
it.
talk about the application here tonight.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Let's stay on
But,
that.
yeah, but I'm talking about the driveway now. It's a danger point up
Okay.
front. There's not enough space for cars to pull in and out. And you may even have to put a traffic light at Geraldine and 12B where I live. And that would even further clog things up in order to, you know, be a safe area to pull in and out of there. With that little patch of land in front of his so-called house there that he nicely fixed up. And to his credit, there's not enough room to get in there and out without endangering traffic accidents on 12B, right across from my house. It would be perfect for a car to hit my property and my privets and my front porch and maybe cause some serious damage to me. Because I'm directly in eyeballs, things right in front of me.
All right,
Question,
appreciate the comments.
excuse me, question to the board. Has Mr. Roberts submitted any kind of a design or a plan to the board on how he proposes to set out the parking and the ingress and egress? Have you received any information on that? Or what the house would look like, or how it would be changed or
I
not
think you
changed?
said that there's no change to the house.
How about the parking? Because currently, it's difficult to imagine that there would be any parking available for customers. So you do have, and is there sufficient room for 6 parking places? And being able, and sufficient room to back up, to enable a car to enter into Clinton Road?
Highly trafficked.
Is there sufficient room? You know, it's one thing to have room for the parking, but do you have sufficient room to enter into a road, a roadway as busy as Clinton Road? It's the other issue. Because sometimes you have to back up to get out, and you need room to do that. Do you have an engineer that might analyze the spacing or the design?
We don't have an engineer.
No?
I went to the state DOT, by the way, and it came back with no comment on it. Anything that's on a state road, before we can do anything with it, has to go to the state. And this came back from the state with no comment.
Well, it
So they
also
must not have
went,
been concerned.
and it also went to the county.
Did they just look at the traffic flow, or did they focus on the actual plot plan and how much room there was in the parking lot to swing a car out without going into the road and then swing out safely? That property for the parking lot doesn't look like it has, I mean, people could swing in, but to swing out looks like it would be a very tight squeeze without swinging into the road, and as I've said, create an accident, which is a public safety issue.
Well, they've looked at it and they don't have any concerns. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right, we're gonna close. As John mentioned here, we do have a letter from the DOT, New York State DOT, that did take a look at this. Comments will make this part of the file. The entrance should conform to standards for a minor commercial entrance as outlined within the New York State DOT policy and standards for entrances to state highways. Number 2, if work is to be performed within the highway right of way, New York State DOT highway work permit will be required. Number 3, all proposed signage must be located on private property and not on New York State DOT right of way. Then we had a letter from the United County Planning Department who indicates no recommendation.
I can't hear because of these people chatting back there.
Thank you. So, comments from the board. We're closed.
I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
We, the board, have to look at this as a use variance. This is
Correct.
not an area variance, so we have to be much more stringent in our evaluation of this particular request than we would an area variance as we have before.
Right.
So I just want to remind the board members, this is a use variance, and we should take this very, very seriously and listen to the people in our neighborhood.
Okay, with that said, we have some comments.
Do I? Not at this particular point in time.
Okay. Lenora?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's going to be much less traffic than anything that they didn't need a variance for. So those are my comments. However, I do believe as a board we have to look at what we need to do for a use variance.
Byron?
I guess I looked at the application when I went up and looked at the neighborhood. And I felt that with the central asphalt gone, that was pretty much about the biggest eyesore going in the building. With some improvements that have been done, I felt that it didn't drastically change the character of the neighborhood, nor did that use, especially with the petition and looking at the two items specifically outlined on that, I didn't feel that that would substantially change or even minorly change the character of the neighborhood on that side of the street. So I guess I feel that with some restrictions, I've gotten my questions answered.
Well, I tend to agree with Byron, but I remind everybody that our opinion of that particular neighborhood is different from the people that are living in that neighborhood. So I think we should have to take that into consideration when we're proceeding.
I think it's a low impact use for that site, as long as all the restrictions that we put on, or whatever restrictions we put on it, are completed before he goes into the building. Driveway, blacktop, shrubbery, whatever was completed before he.
Okay. John?
What he said and what he just said to go with it, I agree with both of them. Because there's gonna be a lot worse things going in there if the place is all fixed up and all nice on the outside. I don't have a problem with it. Because I pulled in and out of there today.
Karen?
Well, I had a question, and one question I had, I think you said there's gonna be no boarding of animals?
No, it's closed.
Oh, sorry,
Closed.
well, okay, sorry.
That's okay, unless you need to open it back up to ask the applicant.
Well, I don't know if it's really crucial, the question that I have. I do think that, yes, I don't really have any problem with the clinic. However, I do think we need to look pretty seriously at the criteria, especially the financial. I haven't seen any real financials. I don't know if I'm missing something, but that is one of the criteria that we need to look at. I haven't seen anything
Well, I know
much, except for a statement pretty much that it has not been rented for a few years, 3 years or so.
Yeah.
And so, but I didn't really hear too much about that. I think we're supposed to be presented with some.
So is it what you would look for, some additional information?
I think we're supposed to.
Before you.
I would like to see that because I think that's one of the criteria.
Yeah, I hear the neighbors, and what they're saying. I would be concerned too if there was a crematorium there. And I would be concerned if we were boarding, I guess, a lot of dogs overnight. Cats, I don't, but we're not boarding anything. And the applicant has stated that there's gonna be no boarding. Your point is well taken, that we really need to look at the criteria. And do we meet does it meet the test? Joe mentions of the proposed plan for this area will allow, I guess my question, Joe, is would it allow a clinic or is it gonna allow a hospital?
Strictly in office.
Strictly in office?
No
kennel. So at some point in time, it may be allowed in here anyways. We don't, I don't know if we have a timeline on that, but we are where we are right now, so we need to look at the criteria. So maybe that leads us into taking a look at the criteria right now, and the use variance. So, cannot realize a reasonable return substantial shown by competent financial evidence. And, I know we have a statement of income and expense here. I guess, you know, do we feel that this is adequate? Does it meet the test number one here? Do you want to go through all four? I mean,
Yeah.
you want to go through all four?
Yes.
All right. And then we're going to come back to, well, the alleged hardship is unique and does not apply to a substantial portion of the district or neighborhood. Number three, requested variance will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. Number four, the alleged hardship has not been self-created.
I don't believe any of those are violated. But I don't know that those for use variance or executive will
It was the use.
Yeah, this is the use.
I don't know those. Okay.
So I guess if we're gonna go back to, we'll start with number one, cannot realize a reasonable return substantially shown by competent financial evidence.
That's the one.
That's it.
So do you feel what you have here is adequate?
I don't think so. I don't think it's evidence, it's a statement, but it's evidence of, there's no tax returns, we have nothing. That is documentation, financial documentation besides, and I mean, I realize this has to go with it also, but we don't have any showing of anything. Any efforts to sell it in the past or to rent it in the past, that kind of thing. I don't think there's any documentation, no tax returns, no nothing.
I think Karen's right on that one. I don't think it provided number one, but the other four, I don't have a big problem with.
Everything under there, what you must prove.
Yeah, I got it.
The alleged hardship is unique and does not apply to a substantial portion of the district or neighborhood.
No. No.
No.
No.
No. This one,
So if we don't have it,
that's the one.
all four have to be proven. I thought I'd go on and see if we've got
The others,
more than
yeah,
one.
I got you now, okay.
The alleged hardship, what's that?
You suggest we go back and get more financials.
I think we need to have
Yeah, you can do that.
See where we are with the other three.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the alleged hardship is unique and does not apply to a substantial portion of the district or neighborhood.
Yeah.
You're okay with that? Is
I'm okay
everybody
with
okay with that?
Yeah. With restrictions though.
With restrictions.
No crematorium, no boarding, parking lot in place before occupancy along with landscaping before occupancy.
The requested variance will not alter the potential character of the neighborhood.
I don't think it will.
I don't think it will. You
I do.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
agree
gonna
with
look any
that.
different than it is now.
It's gonna affect it. Listen to the people that live there.
Well, they're not
No, I
changing
think
the
we are,
building.
that's why we would put definite stipulations for
I
them.
think
We have to
I
listen,
do.
but.
Okay.
I feel it's gonna affect me.
A grooming place that is,
Yeah.
Down the street.
animal grooming and that type of thing.
And the alleged hardship has not been self-created.
That'll be proven by financial.
And if the big stepping stone here is financial, I'd like to make a motion that you can come back financial statements, and he doesn't have to pay for another, what would you call it, public hearing and all that
Well, what
stuff?
you would do is you would make a motion to table the
Is there any
application
other information you want?
pending
other than
the applicant providing whatever information they're seeking.
that? You want to see,
It's pretty well defined.
Financials.
Right.
Okay, so is that,
did you want to see?
I'd make a
do you want-
motion.
Do you want to see what some parking spots?
I'd make a motion, or do you want to make?
Chance?
No. I thought I made it before, I just
Oh.
never had it before.
These are the things he needs to,
We have to,
these are the things he needs
we
to.
have to go by, absolutely.
So John, you wanna make a motion? Right?
Yes, you want to make
Okay.
a motion that it goes back to financials.
It's your table.
Table it, yeah.
You make a motion to table this.
Until we get more financials.
As indicated in number 8 here?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, under A, I think these are the things we're looking for, right there.
You're asking for financial statements, my personal financial statements?
No, no.
To show that it's been a hardship, that you've tried to rent it.
Well,
you're
it's
not
been on the
able to-
market, I've had a sign for sale or lease for 2.5 years. So it had, I mean, the sign is in the front of the building, it's been there, we've been trying to sell the
Has it been
property
listed?
and or lease it.
Have you listed it with
I
somebody?
haven't listed it with a
Realtor.
realtor, but my
You've done it
wife
yourself.
was a realtor at the time. So we have tried to list it. The problem is with the asphalt plant next door, nobody, there was zero, and once the asphalt plant left, we actually tore it down. I've gotten a lot of, you know, interest in it, and I thought this was a good usage for the interest. I mean, yeah, I mean,
We agree with that part, but for you as the applicant with your tenant, there's a certain set of things that need to be, that Karen's brought up, that needs to be satisfied, and it has nothing to do with your financial ability to do or not do the project, or the doctor for his operation.
It looks like you provided some of the information, just not all. Is that right, Karen?
Yes.
and, I mean, what are we lacking? Because the problem is if we're gonna do the upgrades on the building and the parking lot, we lose, I mean, if I have to come back in November,
It basically has to be from an expert showing that you have not had a reasonable return.
What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
it's going back in
Because it's like,
February,
for
it's
us,
It's on
it's
your-
really cut and dry.
yeah.
These are the things that's right on the,
I know it's not.
on your.
Karen, so look at what he's provided here. He's actually got number 1.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2 we don't have. Number 3.
So,
You can call them a meeting, you can get it done.
Well, we'll put it on as another.
well, you can't do it in November because they never get it back now, they can try to get the plants to close it. She didn't call.
We can. We'll call a special meeting.
We can call a special meeting for it.
Finish it.
Bless you.
Okay, so,
I made it twice,
okay.
and no,
Uh,
now you don't have that time.
Right?
The motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, aye.
Hi.
Aye. I guess we've tabled it. Looking for more information as outlined in number 8 there.
So Aaron will let us know.
I mean, we can do it in 2 weeks, right? You have to
Advertise.
advertise, notice.
Have to be advertised.
Well, no, but you're gonna have to notify the people within whatever distance you did before. And if you're gonna set the date, you should set it now, so they know.
Can you have it done in 2 weeks?
Okay, 2 weeks.
What's 2 weeks from today?
Oh, we-
The 20, I don't. The 21st is today, of course, the 28th is next Monday. November, if I can get a place, now, it's November 4 is in 2 weeks from today. You won't be here.
I may not.
You may not. All right, the next one, the next Monday is a holiday.
I'm back after that. I'll be here
I have
Wednesday.
planning board the following Tuesday. The 18th is your regular meeting.
The plants might be closed on the 15th.
So then when we do the waiver,
November
then you don't have
15th
to
is
be
one of the
blacktop.
typical day. Not that they will, but they generally put out a notice. Any DOT people did?
31st, what's 31st?
Halloween.
That's a Thursday.
You can
You
try,
waive the,
you can try.
waive the blacktop, is what I hate to say.
November.
You waive the blacktop, we'll swing it.
We didn't want to do that because of some
Well,
of
then
the
vote the
comments.
motion down.
When is election day here?
November 5th.
Yeah, the Tuesday is election day.
About the sixth.
Town board.
Town board meeting.
7th?
Well, yeah, but we can conflict, and then we just need to have it someplace different.
No,
No.
Um,
7th is better than.
You do it just for the 18th?
yeah.
When you do, that's the line I wait for.
Mhm.
He's trying to get this done.
Huh?
He would be fine.
Well, we only have.
Oh, I don't know.
Plants probably closed.
Yeah, you don't want to close
So I can do it, I can
Plants
blacktop
are still
the
open.
third or the
Date
second or
just the
third week
date
of
where you
November,
bond them.
but I, you know,
project.
I
I
just
don't,
need to get rolling, you know.
Well, you can see that you can't get everybody together right now, that's the problem.
You could blacktop.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can blacktop, but I mean,
Would you do it regardless? Would you be like that regardless?
No, because we the parking lot, not just the driveway.
You couldn't do the week before.
Not enough time.
30th? I don't know.
Well, why don't you leave it to the 18th and if the blacktop has to wait till spring?
30th, a week and a half.
You didn't-
Is that enough time?
whatever works for
It's
you.
gotta wait till spring, if we get that far, then
Or if it's warm enough, then you can do it.
Right, we could let it just wait till spring,
Plants won't be open at all.
right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I can deal with it, I mean, I'll make it work, you know.
all right, so let's 18, put it on.
Are we gonna revisit everything that we visited already, or are we pretty much done with all that, or?
Now, we're going to look at the financial.
And then we'll just put the stipulations or whatever. makes the
November
motion.
18th, 6 o'clock
6 o'clock here.
Here,
here.
Yep.
yes.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
And I'm just wondering, would it help for these neighbors, do they have a copy of this so that they already know that they, all this could be done?
I think some of them have
You do have,
No, we don't
No, we don't have anything.
this might help you to know what could be done without them even being here, and then it might make you, you know.
What is the property currently zoned? It's a neighborhood business.
And this is what falls, this is what falls under the criteria, can we make a copy?
Here's some extra copies here. It is online though, it's also online.
If they want it, they can.
Would you like to?
I mean, that's.
All they have to do is call and
Yeah.
come down and I'll give them whatever they want.
Mr. Chairman, can I give it to him?
What district is it? I have all the attachments, but I don't know
Was this
what
attached?
district it is. Is it a
I'm
neighborhood?
sure
This was them.
Yes,
This-
Can I give it to
RB4,
him?
It's a RB4.
neighborhood business.
I got it.
Got it.
Good luck. Good luck. See, just so you understand, I guess, for you guys, this is currently the zone that it is. These are the permitted uses, these are site plan review. Site plan review is a little different, carries a different weight. It means it can be reviewed, but it would be permitted use within the zone. It means it'll get some additional approval by the planning board, not by the zoning board of appeals. And then this is a special permit. But if you can make some copies and then,
That's a,
and then this, okay, is where you plan that 30-inch park, typical park spot, meaning driveway, open and come back. I feel some of you are pain, just not all of you. Well, that's why.
Yeah, so why is he going to do it now?
One of the things, I think, well, because if we did go along with it, I think one of the things I want to see is that before he can lease it, to work together.
Yeah, but I'm saying his use later.
He ignores
But he wouldn't be able to run it.